So welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the latest and greatest news from everyone's favorite brand, that's Rolex. The thing is, they just released a new Deepsea challenge, and the crazy part about it is that as shocking as it was, I'm surprised that it didn't have this big blockbuster release. I asked a lot of people and they pretty much had no idea that a new Deepsea was out. But first I want to start off with a brief introduction to the Sea-Dweller model, which I love myself. For example, I have here my 1974 double red Sea-Dweller, which I personally love and enjoy. But the start of this whole model line started in 1967 when Rolex decided to release the 1665. This watch would go down to 2,000 feet and it featured their first helium escape valve. For those of you that don't know, that's the valve located in the side of the watch so that when the watch decompresses, the glass doesn't shoot right out. The helium escapes through there. Pretty cool stuff. I've always been fascinated and I've always found that it's pretty cool. From there, the watches got a little bit more complex and a little bit deeper. It was upgraded to a 4,000 feet rating. Similar watch, a little bit more complex, but that was just the start of this model. It just started getting crazier and crazier. Now from there was several different models that range from the classic plastic glass like this one all the way up to the final 40 millimeter with the ceramic bezel, which personally, I think that's one of my favorite ones and one of the ones that you see the least. But I'll never forget the day that I saw the new Deepsea come out. I thought to myself, what is this? That was around the time when watch trends were kind of going more towards bigger watches. I felt that that was the peak in the market, in the hobby, in the industry, when people were gravitating more towards bigger watches. I'll never forget the day I saw that Deepsea and I thought to myself, it's almost like a Submariner on steroids. Not knowing that time, I remember I traded my Kermit 16610 LV, brand new. Thought it was a great deal, put about $1,000 on top and got the latest and greatest model released by Rolex. Only to find out that this 44 millimeter massive case watch not only went to 12,800 feet, which I would never in my wildest dreams have to use, weighed 212 grams, which equaled to be 7.5 ounces. That's one of the few watches I've ever worn my entire life that by the time I get home, I'm just dying to take it off. It's one of those pieces that the second I would get home, I'd have to remove it. I've told this to many people and they've looked at me and said, I love my watch. A couple of them, few later on in their life had told me, you know what, Eric, I never thought I would say this, but the watch is too heavy and bulky. And most importantly, it's not so much that it's heavy and bulky, it's that it's top heavy. The watch is very thick on the top profile, so it kind of just feels very top heavy. One of the best things they ever did to that Deepsea model was they came out with a James Cameron, because everybody knows that that dial is hot. I mean, it fades from blue to black into the depth. I love it. I also love that they've always incorporated James Cameron with that model, considering that he is one of the guys that loves this whole deep water exploration thing, and I think it's a great fit and partnership with Rolex. Now, before I want to get into this new challenge, I want to also say that this isn't the first time that Rolex comes out with a Deepsea challenge. But this time it wasn't called the Deepsea Challenge, it was called the Deepsea Special Prototype. They made this in the 1960s, and if you can look at this watch, it's probably the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen in your life. It's a mixture of old school technologies with new school ridiculousness. I mean, look at that glass. The difference is that at that moment, they weren't offering that watch to the public, which leads me to what we're gonna talk about right now. Rolex decided to release a 50 millimeter titanium case Deepsea challenge, which goes down to the depth of the Mariana Trench. For those of you that don't know, that is probably the deepest known part of the ocean. It goes down to 36,090 feet of water. It's made out of RLX titanium. This thing can go down 7 miles down, but weighs a whopping 251 grams. 251 grams. That's way heavier than the standard Deepsea, and it's made of titanium. I mean, I guess the biggest question that I have is, who the hell's gonna buy this? Have you ever seen those guys that are wearing those really, I gotta say like 40 times, really cheap Invictas that are 50 millimeters and like hang out this far off your wrist? Those are the Transformers. I guess Rolex saw some type of like a need to get into this trend. The only thing is that it's $28,000. Also, if you're under 5 feet and you have self-esteem issues, this is probably the perfect model for you as well. I challenge anybody to wear this watch. It's gonna be the newest viral thing, period. I see where Rolex was going with this. They're losing it. I challenge anybody to wear this watch to dinner and act like it's just a normal watch and that it's no big deal and just play it off. And let's just see how many people's eyes fall out. 50 millimeters? I mean, I can't even imagine in my wildest dreams that Rolex would make a 50 millimeter watch and offer it to the public. With a retail of $26,000, when you buy this thing, it's probably gonna cost you $28,000 when you get off in taxes and everything. Then what do you do with it? Look, on one hand, I think that it's an amazing feat that they've engineered a watch that can go this deep, withstand, come back, and continue to operate. I also do feel that it's one of those watches that perhaps maybe should have remained a novelty, like that 1960s Deepsea special prototype. You know, it's almost like a trophy for the brand saying, look what we did and look what we can do. So it kind of offers that pedigree for that watch that you're buying now that shows you, you know, these are the same guys that did that watch that goes to the Mariana Trench. But I wonder, in 2022, with the state of the watch market, business, hobby, however you want to say it, who the heck's gonna buy a 50 millimeter Deepsea? It just mind boggles me. I don't understand. I think some of the positive things we're gonna look at is one, Rolex finally buckles and makes a watch in titanium. I'm quite surprised they haven't done that before. I heard rumors about this, that they were gonna make a Deepsea challenge, and I said to myself, no way. Rolex would never come out with a huge, over-the-top, ridiculous, super sauced tool watch. And then all of a sudden we wake up in the morning and there it is. They hit it to us on a hot steaming plate. We got a 50 millimeter Deepsea. So just to put this in a bit of perspective, I want you guys to look right now at the difference side by side of the new Deepsea challenge compared to a standard James Cameron Deepsea. I mean, this is a real thing, okay? I mean, you can almost kill somebody with this watch. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm wondering, who is the actual animal that can wear this casually, walking down the street like it's all good? I mean, just think about it. Would you buy a Deepsea challenge? At this point, the only thing I'm thinking is that it's almost like, I guess just like a form of art, like collecting a sculpture or a fine art. You know, you just want to buy it, just have it, just look at it. Almost like that Panerai Egiziano that's 60 millimeters. I mean, who's gonna wear that? I met a client the other day that says he has one of those watches because he loves big watches. And I asked him, do you actually wear this piece? And he says, yes, I do. Once a year I put it on. And honestly, I would just love to be at a coffee shop, drinking some coffee in the morning, and just see somebody wearing that watch. Because for me, I'm not sure I would be able to hold my laugh. I mean, look, I get it. It's a pretty cool piece of history. It's probably something you'd want on your desk as a paperweight. But I just really would like to see somebody wearing a 60 millimeter. I guess the only other positive thing I could say besides the titanium is, thank God they didn't go for 60 millimeters. I just don't get it. I don't know who's gonna wear that piece, and I cannot wait to actually have one in my hands so I can just see this monster. At this point, I wouldn't even call it the Deepsea challenge. I'd call it the Deepsea Shack at this point. I mean, it's like the type of watch that only Shaq could wear personally. I would love to see Shaq wearing one and see if it's legit the right dimensions. That's true. It's like, who else fucking wears? Shaq is like fucking 30 feet tall. Could you imagine Kevin Hart wearing this watch? 50 millimeter Deepsea challenge. It's true, bro. Oh my God, this thing will pull him down to the Mariana Trench with the weight of it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Another good thing about it is that if you need it, you can also use it as an anchor. I mean, I wouldn't see why it wouldn't work. I mean, you just tie it onto a rope and throw it in. There you go. You have a makeshift anchor. So it's a dual purpose. They call it a tool watch. There it is. I feel that of all the different lines that Rolex has, all the different model the model lines that they have, I feel that the Sea-Dweller Deepsea is the one that is, I don't want to say the most in trouble, but I feel that it's the most controversial and the one that's gone through the most amount of unnecessary changes, okay? I think that one of the last perfect Sea-Dweller Deepsea models was that 40 millimeter with the ceramic bezel. I think that that was one of my favorite last ones. The Deepsea was very iffy, right? It was a marketing, in my opinion, at that moment, they wanted bigger watches. It's crazy because it's a 44 millimeter and so was the Yachtmaster 2, but yet the Yachtmaster 2 continues to sell good. I think that 1 is the combination, 2 is the weight, and 3 is the profile of it. Yachtmaster's a lot slimmer. It's just that they keep playing with the Sea-Dweller lineup. Then they've changed already the Deepsea 3 times. You go from the 1.1 reference to the 1.2, and then now the 1.3. Every time they try to slim it down, change it a bit, try to make it a bit more attractive. Then they come out with a 43 millimeter red Sea-Dweller. Look, on one hand, I think that's a great watch, and there are a lot of people out there that feel that that watch is perfect for their wrist because either A, they're larger guys, or they like bigger watches. I think it's not a bad watch. I think it has a good size. However, I do feel that they're just playing around with the Sea-Dweller lineup so much. If you go back in history, the Sea-Dweller is usually just one model at a time. Where now, when you look at it, how many different Sea-Dwellers do we have? We no longer have a 40 or a 41 Sea-Dweller. You have a 43, then you go to the Deepsea, then you have a two-tone, which, the two-tone 43, which is a bit weird, but necessary at the same time. And now you have a challenge. I don't understand. I'm just wondering, what is it with the Sea-Dweller that Rolex felt that we had to tamper with it so much instead of maybe keeping it traditional like this one? My 1974 double red Sea-Dweller to me is the ultimate Sea-Dweller for me. I mean, I wonder if you size it with like a power tool. It's a legit question. I'm asking for a friend. Man, I'd slap my salesman if he offers me that watch, straight up. I would slap the spit right out of his mouth in my Rolex AD, which I don't even have one, but offer me one of those watches. So comment below if you think the Sea-Dweller lineup is doomed or perhaps in need of a reset. And if you like this video, like and share it. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel.